Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Week 6 of the Inspire series. Tonight, I have once again my partners in story, Karen, Holly, Michelle, and Sarah. Josh, unfortunately, can't be with us, just all ladies tonight. Tonight, we're talking about from book to screenplay. Lots of authors want to know how to get their story on the screen. Michelle, I'm going to hand this one over to you because you're into this. You're into screenplays. Yes.
So this is something I've been really sorry, we keep having blackouts here too. This is something I've been really interested in since 2020 when the world shut down. And I went to Google University and I taught myself how to write screenplays because it's been something that I have been interested in for a very, very long time. At school, I wrote a lot of plays and performed them myself, whether people were watching or not. That's just, who I was. And I really could see this correlation between what we do as children's authors and how to write for the screen. Because when you are writing for children, you have to be really visual. You need to leave room for an illustrator. You have to learn how to be quite succinct with what you do. So there's actually a really great opportunity for kids writers who are looking to branch into screenwriting, because a lot of the tools that we have to write for kids transition quite easily over into script writing. For me, it's been a little bit like starting at the bottom again, because there is still a lot of correlation between submitting to publishers and submitting to producers or submitting to streaming networks. So it feels a little bit like starting all over again. But the questions that I get asked most is, where do I start? How do I even start doing this? Where do I start? And the first thing you need, just like being an author, the first thing you need is a manuscript. The first thing you need to have your book turned into a script is have a script. So there are lots of people out there like me who can help you with that, help you turn your manuscript into a script, because they are two very different things. It's formatting and the way that you it's a translation. So that has to happen. And then just like in publishing, there's like a million different pathways to getting your script made. You can make it yourself. You can partner with a production company. You can enter competitions. You can go to streaming networks. You can go to conferences and meet people. So as authors, I think we have a great advantage to people who are just kind of starting from scratch, because we know how that works. We know about networking. We know about making connections with people. We know that it takes time. Like, this is not something that happens straight away. But I wanted to open it up to our crew and see if anyone had any specific questions that they wanted to ask me, or if anyone had any experience of their books being turned into either animation, which Jen and I have done together, or turning it into short films. Did you have any questions?
So this is really interesting to me. I was really looking forward to this when I saw that this was going to be one of our episodes and you were leading it. I was like, oh, this is just amazing, because I just, I've learned so much from you guys, just chatting with you guys. Like, genuinely, I've learned so much. And it's just so happens that this is really relevant for me. Now, I'm not writing a script at the moment, but one of my books has a very specific theme. So it's got a very specific theme of grief. And I'm really lucky enough at the moment to have somebody in the industry who's kind of mentoring me in her own time. I mean, she's amazing. She's really well known over here, and she's done a lot of children's programs over the years that anyone who's been brought up in the UK would know. She's absolutely amazing. And I'm really lucky because she's kind of a friend of an auntie, and who's an actress. So I've just been really, really lucky to have the opportunity for her to just spend some time with me. And wow, it's just like like you say, starting from scratch again. Like, I thought I knew how things worked as a children's author, but it's so interesting and it's so different. And she's basically like the thoughts that she's come up with of, you know, just transferring a book to a film script doesn't work. That's not what you guys do, because you have to be thinking about everything else. You've got to, you know, be thinking of episodes and what works, and like what avenue you're going down, and what works on screen. And so basically we're looking at a based on, which is just also new to me. And you kind of, you don't feel like you're losing your book, but you understand that there's a few very key components within your picture book which will actually be the structure for the writer or the producers to then kind of play around with, and it's all so specific, and it's really changed the story, but the character's still there, the main character's still there, and the essence is there, but it's really, really changed. I mean, it's just at the very beginning, and she's just been really kind and just kind of talking me through so much. And so I'm now trying to put together and write this thing to hand into her. And, you know, I'm overthinking.
Yeah. And if you think writing a synopsis is bad, wait till you have to do a pitch deck. Then that's really going to mess with your head. But you bring up a really good point, because if you have a look at the movies that you like that are based on books, it is a lot of the times it will have adapted to the screen by, or if you have based on a book written by. So what happens is if you are self-published, then you obviously have the rights to the film and TV credits, or if you're traditionally published, it might go through your publisher, or you might retain the rights. So basically they are getting the rights to your book. And it's at this point that you have to be very, very careful, because they do not have to make your book word for word to the screen. That there is nowhere that says that, unless you specifically say in the contract that you want it to be a literal translation of your book. Most of the time they don't actually want it to be exactly the same as your book, unless your book is super, super famous and has sold lots and lots of copies. So that's why you've got people like her names escape me at the moment. They're Legally Blonde. She started her own production company and book club. So she buys the rights, Reese Witherspoon. So she buys the rights to books, makes the books super famous and bestsellers, and then turns them into a movie. So, you know, it's a really smart business model, and she's not the only person who's done that. Like Oprah's book club books, again, a lot of those have been turned into movies. With the power of social media now, if you have got even an idea, I know people who have got TV shows based on their social media, on their TikToks, on their Instagram, on, you know, that there's this whole nother world that opens up to you now, and you really need to go into it with your eyes wide open. You need to get advice from people who are already in the industry. You need to make sure that, you know, you're getting your contracts looked at by Arts Law. It's something that you don't want to get bamboozled by. Oh, they're turning my book into a movie. This is so great. I'm going to get so rich, because a lot of the time the writer is the person who earns the least amount of money, because you are not guaranteed to be the script writer just because you're writer of the book, especially if you don't have street cred. And so that's something that I'm really trying to build up now. I'm trying to build up my street cred so that I can be writing on projects that are based on books that I've written. And you don't even think that. You think, well, I wrote the book, why wouldn't I help write the screenplay? But it is two very different things, and it depends on the production company and the streamer and whoever is, again, exactly like publishing. If you're making the film yourself, then you have full creative control. If you are not making the film yourself, the person who is fitting the bill is going to be the one who decides how much input you have into the actual writing process. So my suggestion would be to start off small. So maybe even look at doing some animations like Jennifer and I have. So we've got some of our Daisy Lane titles that have got animations. Because the other point that I wanted to make, and I get Karen to speak on this as well, because it's something that she has noticed, because we've talked about it before, is that kids today are very visual.
Yeah.
That they are watching stories. They are loving listening to stories on YouTube. You know, they're wanting to have access to visual storytelling. And as authors, we can either stomp our feet and have a hissy fit and say, well, you should be reading books and kind of leave it at that, or we can be meeting kids where kids are. And if they want visual story, then we need to adapt and give them visual storytelling. Is that what you've found, Karen, when you've been doing your school visits and talking to kids?
Because I only write picture books, I make sure, like, I read the book yesterday, and then at the end we had a talk about some of the words in the book and some of the comprehension, like what happened and who do you like the best, and all of that. And then I went back and I said, can you notice something on this page? And can you come out? You don't have to say anything. You just have to show. And it was like where the fox's tail was, or the fox's nose, or the fox's claws. And they can feel that anticipation and that tension build just with those visuals, without even saying any of the words. They know the fox is there. And I go, how do you know? And they go, because we can see it. The words don't tell you the fox is there. How do you know? And they'll go, I can see the fox tail, the tip of the tail behind the tree, or I can see the nose, or I can see the claws on the ladder. Because I said, it doesn't say the fox is at the door. The book's saying scritch, scratch, scritch. You can hear the fox.
Where am I?
So the visuals bring in the other senses, I guess.
Yeah. There's these colours. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what they respond. I guess it all comes back to the story and whether they like it. But they get immersed in the world more. So with a visual, I guess when you bring it to screen,
There's a little pole.
It's more real. Like it's something it's not just fiction to them. It actually feels real. And I get excited about books that I've read that are going to be made into film, because it's another medium. It's another way for me to experience the story. So even though I may not be doing that, like Eat, Pray, Love by Julia Roberts and Harry Potter, and then you've even got picture books, like there's the hippopotamus on our roof eating cake by Hazel Edwards. That's made into screenplay and it travels around. And then you've got Monkey Bar, and they do The Diary of a Wombat, and you've got The Very Hungry Caterpillar and Where the Wild Things Are, and they're all made into plays for children. So it's not taking away from the book, it's extending the book. And I'm so excited that Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton, oh my God, it's going to be in a movie, and I'm so excited to see that. And Runt, that's what by Craig Silvey. Like, you just get to experience the book again in another way. So even though I'm not doing it, I'm excited to see where it's going. And don't think just like because you write picture books, it doesn't happen, because some of those books I just talked about were picture books. And Where the Wild Things Are has got to be the most classic picture book ever written. And it was made into a movie, and it's made into plays, and it still sells millions of copies every year as a book. So I guess you just got to roll along with it and see where it goes. But even if you're not doing screenplays, say I will take Foxy along. It depends on the story, but Foxy's a particular story that lends itself to it. I can get kids to be the fox. I can get the kids to be the bunnies, and who's scared and they show their facial expressions while I read the book. So we're not essentially doing a movie, but they're doing their interpretation and showing it visually. And that's fun too. So even if you're not doing screenwriting, you can bring your book to life just through fun drama play. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was an extra on the Boys Flows universe, so it'll be interesting to see whether I made the cutting room floor or actually whether you like pause it and go like this, whether you might be able to see me. So
I hope you're there.
yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Holly, I wanted to ask you about this trend of books getting turned into movies. Are you a fan of that, or do you think they don't do the books justice? Because I know that there's a lot of people who aren't necessarily always thinking that books are translated into movies and that that's done the book justice.
I'm excited about about that aspect. I was really looking forward to finding out, what your take on how you do it. I know lots of people have talked about it, and I guess I've had different experiences with books in the past, but it's something that I just think it's like just another amazing medium, and why not explore it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the skills. That's the thing. Like, it's not like we have to learn, even though it's super different. Hey, Sarah, like it's so different. It's learning a new medium.
Yeah.
But we don't actually have to learn any new skills within ourselves. We just have to learn new ways to apply them. And that's really encouraging. That's really encouraging to think that we have got the capacity to actually transition and translate stories, because it's definitely a translation. Just like Sarah was saying, it's not going to be a word for word most of the time. Even with the famous books, they do like a little bit of a change. But we have, as authors, we have all the tools and the talent that we need, that if we wanted to, we can transition and learn how to write a screenplay. And what I always say is learn from somebody who's doing it. I think find somebody who can walk you through how to do it, so that you then can do it yourself. You don't want to always be relying on other people to be translating scripts, because that can get expensive. It is something that you can learn. And if you have somebody who can do that first one with you as a collaborative process, when there are a lot of people out there who can absolutely do that, don't be scared to try. Like it's just another way of telling a story. So if it's something that you have been thinking about, look into it, find out how you can turn whatever your manuscript is into either a short film or a feature film or a series. Get advice from somebody who's doing that, and have a go, because it's just like with publishing. If you don't try and you don't, put it out there into the universe, you don't want to be sitting there in 30 years time going, oh, you know what, I really wish I would have at least tried to to turn it into a movie or turn it into a series or to write a kids series, because at the end of the day, that's where a lot of storytelling is heading. And if you can get in now and teach yourself and learn about the screenwriting industry, learning about film and TV, then you're not going to get left behind, because with the way of the world and more kids moving towards visual storytelling, towards play and movement and all of that stuff, you've got it in you to adapt. Do it now. Don't wait or be scared. Yes. Is there anything else I haven't answered, Jen, that you wanted me to talk about?
No, I found this really interesting. Screenplays is something I didn't know anything about, so you've enlightened me quite a bit, a lot to process. But I think, like the key takeaway for me as an author and, for others is don't be afraid to take that step. Yes, it is different, but just give it a go and meet those kids in the middle. The visuals are going to be there. And that's the beautiful thing about picture books. Kids have got those visuals. But we need to go beyond that and do the animation, do the screenplays. Sarah, can you ever see, say, The Heavy Bag, for example? Will that ever be an animation or a...
Well, I mean, this is the one that we're kind of working on, and I was really interested because she runs this big production company for children, and she instantly said, well, I just don't think it would work as a standalone. Like, we need to take it's the character, it's the bag, that's where we need to be focusing, and then we have to have lots of other sort of things going on in episodes. And so that's really interesting how people in the industry can see just from a book which way it should go. I was going to ask you, Michelle, is it ever done the other way around? Are books written from screenplays?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It seems to always be like book screen, but
so usually kids TV series, you'll see that. So things like Bluey, the books came out after the TV series. It can go either way, because like Noddy, like old school Noddy and things, they were all books that got turned into TV series. And then you had things like Bob the Builder and Handy Manny and all of those kids TV series that ended up having books as like merch. So it was merchandise that came out of that. So you don't, and that's the thing, you don't, if you've got an idea, like I've written a couple of stories where I've got three-quarters of the way through and I've gone, hang on a second, this is a script. this isn't a story, it's too visual. There's too much visual stuff happening. Like, again, it's looking at what you're writing and going, is this actually a book, or am I actually better off just going straight to script with this? And then hopefully if it gets really well known, then it will get merchandising out of it. And again, that's something that you need to think about when you are, as a screenwriter, selling your scripts. You don't want to just sell it and then they pay you out and then they say, bye, thanks very much for your idea. But you do really want to make sure, if you do want to have interaction and you do want to have a part of all of the what happens after, that you need to be saying, I want to be a part of the production as well.
Interesting, really interesting.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting world, isn't it? And there's so much out there that I certainly didn't know about. You've enlightened me quite a bit. So yeah, good luck with your venture, Sarah.
Thank you.
Taking it one step at a time, I think it will be great. Karen, any scope for your books turning into screenplays, animations for kids, that next step?
I'm not sure. I have a story that is not published, but it has a really good character and a sidekick, and it could be, if you had them as a series. You couldn't do it for a standalone. It needs, because they need to move and grow and show different aspects of themselves. But essentially they are who they are, and then the story evolves around them. But
Okay.
it's funny because I would say a lot of picture books don't have a lot of characters. And when you look at movies, like you'll have Batman and Robin, they were a duo. So if you have your strong characters, they'll lead whether it'll be good, I think, for a screen. Okay. But yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm just fascinated. But I'm excited to see those ones that I've said that are coming out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with.
Yeah, and it is a fascinating world. Holly, anything from you in the future, screenplay wise?
You know, I'm definitely very interested in it. You know, as like the way that you've described it, Michelle, it reminds me, like I hadn't thought of it this way, but it just seems to me like writing a book and having your editing done seems like, of course, it makes sense with a screenplay. Then, of course, you would have someone help you with that. I just hadn't thought of that side of it. But there's just so much. Like I really like anything visual. Like I'm so visual myself, so I'm certain that I will lean into that at some point. Just seems like such an exciting area to explore.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. It's fascinating. I know I'm looking forward to learning more about it and to seeing where you guys go with it. So good luck to all of you who are out there having a go and doing it. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm thinking we will leave it there. Once again, it's just, I love these episodes that we do because I learn so much from them. It's there's always something I didn't know that I can take away. So thanks, ladies, for your input. Thanks, Michelle, for all your knowledge and what you are doing to help others along the sometimes lonely road, but along that road. So thanks, everyone, and I will see you again for episode 7, I think. Bye, everyone.
Bye.